trophy, but Vegas was first in their division. Colorado was first in their division. I think Tampa, the 2 years they won, I'm trying to bring up those standings right now. I think, and then prior to that, it was St. Louis when they went on that miraculous run and kind of got themselves back into it. So I think there are some advantages to being first in the division if you can pull that off properly. But it's something to discuss as we continue to work our way through. Coming out of the Heritage Classic, the Calgary Flames, no matter who we kind of talk to, people were looking at the Calgary Flames going, hey, yeah, the Oilers played well, but the Flames are absolute garbage. Do you guys view the Calgary Flames as garbage right now? And if you do, they just got a new, you could look at it a couple ways. One, new coach in place, trying to figure things out, right? Or you look at it and go, man, new coach in place, and they still don't have it. So what happens now? So which side of that discussion are you guys on when it comes to the Flames?
They looked soft to me. And I don't want to take anything away from the Oilers. The Oilers were way more physical and way more tenacious on pucks. They made it more difficult for the Flames with their speed. But yeah, they're kind of a hot mess right now. Getting pretty good goaltending from Markstrom too. That's really concerning that he's having good efforts and they're still getting losses. Kind of the mirror image of Edmonton up to this point. And their big dogs aren't performing. Like we saw Kadri scoring, I believe that was his first of the year, right? Like that shouldn't happen when your top guys aren't producing or being difference makers in games. So yeah, it's weird to see because the one team that I thought that would take the step would be the Flames this year from last year. And we see the Vancouver Canucks kind of taking that mantle of being a team to watch, another team to watch in the Pacific other than the Flames.
How bad are they, Cass?
I think they're bad right now. Right now they're playing horrible. Do you think it's a Sutter hangover?
I thought it was supposed to be like freedom, right? I thought it was supposed to be the other way. Like, do you think they are so entrenched in Sutter's ways that they haven't pushed through that, and now the guy directing them is not anything like him, and the two worlds are colliding right now, Cass? I'm trying to eventually tie this into a Loki reference for episode 4, which was absolutely amazing. We'll get to a little bit later on. But do you think that's what's happening?
I don't know. That's because I anticipated them to be way better this year. I anticipated them to play with a more intense style. Intense maybe isn't the right word because Sutter demands you play intense, but a more engaged style, like a more team-based game where they were excited to play, they're happy to play, they played with a lot of gusto, and they haven't brought that thus far, anything that I've seen. So kind of an interesting situation because you do get the coaching change, but then now the attention has to shift to what's inside the room. And part of me wonders if there is some hangover. Like, did you do enough with Sutter there to develop some of your young guys that could step in and bring some life? I don't know if you did. So it could be a little bit of a both and scenario where it's like, well, there's some issues with the roster still, and then there is still some hangover just from Sutter where they just haven't pushed through it yet. That could be the case, but it's going to be an interesting one to see how it plays out because they certainly still have pieces, I think, to be a really good team. Or to be a good team, maybe not a really good team, but to be a good team, a team that challenges and can maybe push for a wild card spot here. But as of right now, if they keep going the way they're going, yuck.
Gager, how long do you wait with some of the free agents? Like Noah Hannafin's been a big discussion already. That's a guy that you could probably get a pretty good chunk of a possible rebuild for, but you can't make that decision October 31st of a year, like maybe November 30th or something, another month. If you're still sitting here and the only team worse than you in the entire National Hockey League is the San Jose Sharks, then maybe you go there. But how do you preach patience when you're hoping to get things back on track? How patient do you have to be?
With that team, they should be better. I'm thinking after Christmas, but they might. Depending on how it goes. If it keeps going like this, you might as well. It's just so tough with the cap, though, Dusty. How are you going to we need NBA type trades here with multiple guys moving around. This is it'll be difficult. But yeah, they got a lot of assets that could really start to rebuild on the fly here. It's unfortunate because you did see like Backstrom signing, kind of solidifying an older school guy with the team, and I think they will get things back on track. It's just once that trade deadline comes around, that's when the decision's going to have to be made.
Yeah.
Where are we really going to push through and try to see what can happen in, well, getting a playoff spot and seeing how it's going to go, or are we just going to, use these assets and start from scratch?
They could get us so much for Lindholm and Hannafin. Like it would, that would help significantly. Like I'm thinking younger player that can probably play now and a first round. Like you're looking at that type of return, I think, for those guys.
Yeah,
so
you're getting a good prospect and a first rounder with both of those guys for sure.
Yeah, and then you still got a bunch of other guys under contract. I don't know if you want these other guys under contract with the way that they played so far. But what about on the other side in Vancouver? We saw them beat the Oilers. They pumped them once. One in a game where we think they would bounce back. TSN has them as the top Canadian team right now. I think they've started 5-2-1. They've got points in 6 of 8. They lost to Philly and Tampa, and then the Rangers in overtime. Cass, once again, same kind of conversation on the Canucks side of things, or on the Flames side of things, too early to full-blown panic. Is it too early to say the Vancouver Canucks are significantly improved under Rick Tocchet this year?
No, I don't think it's I think it's reasonable to say that they're significantly improved because they look like they're playing a different game. They're playing a more structured game. They're playing a more aggressive game, and not in like a Tortorella, Sutter type style of coaching. Tocchet has high demands of his players, high expectations of his players, but he's not like a ruthless dictator, complete total old school coach. It's like, no, they seem to have bought into it. And I think the best thing for the Vancouver Canucks is that they've had some success with it early. Now, the big question for me is when they hit a skid or when they struggle for a couple games, can they sustain? How quickly are they able to turn it around? But I mean, I think they are much improved. And we saw in the games against Edmonton, and we've seen whenever, if you guys have watched any more of their games, it's like, no, they play an aggressive
they do.
style. They have big body defensemen that are doing a good job of clearing out the front of the net. And on top of that, you have some good goaltending to back it all up. So I don't think, they're not a Stanley Cup winning team by any stretch. I don't think they're a Stanley Cup contender by any stretch, but are they significantly improved? Yeah, absolutely they are. They're a way better team than they were last year, just based on having some structure to their game.
All right, just got an interesting text. I don't know if I'm supposed to say who it came from or not, but just with people talking about, and I see K-Gill 97 in the chat saying, will Lavoie be called up? Lavoie will not be the player called up. Use that how you would like. That's what I was just texted. So apparently Raphael Lavoie will not be the player who is called up right now. Is it a Sam Gagner call up? Is it Brad Malone call up? What do you guys think? If it's not Lavoie, and it's from somebody that I would trust, so who do you think it is if it's not Raphael Lavoie? Gagner's had a decent little contribution since he got going down there.
Has he?
Well,
I haven't been.
I'd
go with Malone.
You go with Malone?
Yeah, I think I definitely go with Malone. Center, older guy, knows his role, shuts his mouth, things like that.
Cash, do you think that's what this group needs right now?
I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about Peterson being the guy being the guy?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I totally blanked on Peterson.
Me too.
That would probably be Peterson. You're probably right.
I would lean that way.
Yeah.
I would assume they would go that way before it was Malone.
Just to go back on the Canucks, Dusty,
yeah.
I'm watching Quinn Hughes. Like, he's got to be the front runner for the Hart Trophy right now, the way he's playing. Like, it is unbelievable what he's doing. Thatcher Demko close behind. But I would...
Well, the other Hughes, too. Let's not forget.
It's going to be a Hughes battle for the Hart. Like, come on.
It's a Hughes battle.
Hughes.
The other thing is, I think you got to wait 25 games to see with the Canucks. I'm still in the believer of when a team just sucks the year before and everyone kind of has their way with them, there is a little bit, oh, we're just playing the Canucks. Takes a while. Oh, these guys are for real. I still think that people aren't giving them credit to how good they actually are, and they are getting good performances from their big dogs.
Hey guys, I watched the AHL. Peterson is injured for a week or two, so I mean, if he's legit out a week or two, that might not be an option for them. As we just said, got a text saying that Raphael Lavoie is not going to be the guy called up. If you're Raphael Lavoie and you've had a great start and you're dropping the mitts down there, and somebody on your team gets called up and it's not you when people were penciling you in to the team, Cass, is that added motivation or is that just a straight up piss off and you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like,
it depends on how you take it. It depends on how you take it. Like, you certainly should be using it maybe as a little bit of both, where it's like, no, you're frustrated because you want to be the guy, but it's also got to push you. Now, some guys can get, poopy pants about it and get grumpy and not play well. And so it kind of depends on how you interpret it as a player. I mean, you'd like to see that as added motivation, but yeah, I mean, some guys just, they've got egos that can't handle it, and it just frustrates them, and they play worse. Versus the other side of just being like, no, I'm going to stick it to them and show them that it should have been me, and do everything I can to make sure that it is me the next time.
Anyway, your thoughts on this? 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If Peterson is injured and it's not Lavoie who gets called up, like we've been told, it does reek a little bit of maybe Sam Gagner, maybe Malone. I mean, one of those veteran guys that come on up in this spot. This could be a spot where Sam's got a few games in under his belt. He says, "Give me a quick look, see what I can do," and maybe he ends up being a player for you. Maybe he doesn't. Yeah, we'll see how that one plays out. All right, a couple other things that I want to get to. One, we kind of texted a little bit on this yesterday. Obviously, just a horrible, horrible incident overseas. Adam Johnson taking a skate up to the throat and sadly passing away. It's turned on a great discussion about making things safer for players in professional hockey, and either it's mandating in or it's not mandating in. I did tweet yesterday. Gager, I know you watched the video cast. Did you ever end up watching it or not? I don't blame you if you didn't watch it because I didn't want to watch it.
No, I didn't
want to watch it at all. And then I saw people being like, "It looks like it was on purpose." I was just like, "Well, it can't possibly be on purpose. Nobody's going to do this on purpose." And then I went and watched the video, and it's a very bizarre play. It just comes across to me as unnatural. Like with the way it wasn't your typical like, oh, he's been flipped up all around and his legs are up here. It was kind of like he came around a guy and then his left leg went way up high for some reason that I still can't figure out. Not saying he intentionally did it because nobody who plays hockey would intentionally do that to somebody else. But Gager, this was an unnatural looking play that went extremely, extremely wrong. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so bloody bizarre. Like, I don't get it.
No, it's so unfortunate. But when you watch it, to me, it looks like a play where almost like a kneeing play, Dusty, where a guy beats you and you have that tendency to push your leg out, just trying to get a piece of someone.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it looked.
But he was so far away from him that a lot like his leg
so far away
to get up like this
because he was actually going to hit someone lean on someone else on the team, and then cutting across and then trying to like get something in the way and then getting unbalanced, and the combination of ducking down just again doesn't mean for this to happen. No. But I think it's one of those things. Oh, I got to get a piece of this guy, or he's going and. But then it looked like his leg went up a ramp almost. Like. Well, I don't know how. I don't know how it got up. No one should be lifting. No one should be lifting their legs above their hips. That's unless you're because his upper body was still upright.
That's
usually in those
thing.
Cases.
You're right.
Your head is closer to the ice at that point if your feet are up that high. So just horrible incident. But it was just not a traditional hockey play where you'd think an incident like that.
Yeah, like even the accidental, his head's down on the ice, so his leg swooped around like this.
Yeah.
He was still kind of up like this, and his leg was out like, I don't know, Absolutely. I mean, horrific, absolutely horrific incident. But I think it has turned on a very interesting conversation. The British Ice Hockey Association. Gager, you played in England, right? Like, Hart Trophy winner. So, I did see some people say, like, well, you have to be extra careful over there because the guys aren't as good as you if you're coming from the National Hockey League and, you're at a different level. I mean, it's one of those plays that, well, that doesn't look like a play that does happen regularly, obviously. But the Ice Hockey Association there has now said, as of January 2024, neck guards will be mandated into the league. They would have done it sooner, but they're worried about getting a supply for everybody. They are strongly recommending, if you can get a neck guard, that you start wearing it before 2024. Cass, do you think this is something that would ever make its way over to North America just to look after players a little bit more?
I mean, I don't know what your incident rate of guys getting cut in the neck is, but it's fairly low. Like if we look the last 20, 25 years, at least in the NHL, have there been like one instance? I'm trying to think.
Richard Zednik for sure. Was there another one? I know Zednik for sure. That was absolutely gruesome, and that was the one where it was like straight up and down.
Yeah.
McKinnon's skate came really close. Got somebody last year. I don't know. What's the hesitancy? What's the hesitancy to not wear a neck guard, Cass? I'm not even asking as like prick member of the media. I'm just asking as like why would you not want to protect your neck?
It's another piece of equipment, and for some guys they're just not comfortable and they don't like wearing them. I mean, and that's not, I'm not making a judgment on that one way or the other, but it's just, guys just don't necessarily like wearing them. They don't necessarily like how they look because they can look kind of funny. But just an added piece of, I
know, but you're right. I know that's what it is. It's just like,
I'm just saying, I'm not saying that that's the wrong attitude, not saying that that's the right attitude, but that's what some guys are going to feel about it. And it's, something that they, for players that have been in the NHL, for example, for a number of years, that they haven't had to wear one since junior, that they might not want to do all of a sudden. So I don't know. I would think that they're probably still farther away from mandating it than they are to. Wait, sorry. Let me just reorganize that thought. I don't think they're close to mandating it in the NHL. Now, maybe this opens up a discussion. I mean, you could see
it should open up a discussion, right? Like,
yeah, I don't see them doing it or doing it right away. It could be something where they say, here's a recommendation. We recommend that you do it, but they might not make it mandatory. And maybe at some point they do. Maybe they grandfather it in. That could be. I mean, we saw them do that with visors. Maybe they grandfathered.
That's what Iwanek brought up today on our show. He goes, the only way they might do this is that current guys in the NHL would be like, no, I don't need it. But as a league and a union, you go, guys coming up from junior, throw in a neck guard, right? Like,
yeah.
Because in the Quebec League, it's mandatory, correct? Like,
yeah.
But the Western League and the Ontario League,
I don't think so. No, Ontario maybe. I'd have to double check. I know the Quebec League it definitely is.
Yeah.
WHL is definitely not. I'm not entirely sure for the O.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like a pretty vulnerable piece of your body that you might want to protect a little bit better. I know it's highly unlikely, but it's going to happen at some point. Like in the next 30, 40 years, somebody's going to die on the ice because of a skate blade. Like it's.
Well, you also could, have someone die on the ice because of cardiac arrest or other things as well. So it's.
That's true, but is there a piece of equipment that you can put around your heart to protect it, as opposed to your neck? That's
no, you're right in that, and you bring up a valid point to it. Again, I kind of go, okay, your rate of instances is fairly low still overall. If you think about the number of games actually played, it's not like this is something that's happening with an incredible amount of frequency. And that's, again, not me saying that I don't think they should implement it, or I don't think they should grandfather it in. I don't know if I've made a decision on that yet, but I'm just trying to say, okay, this is probably where the league's at on it, and probably where a lot of players are at on it, and say, well, it's pretty low likelihood that this is going to happen. However, you could see them grandfather it in. You could see a recommendation being made, and maybe that's the start of it. And it could be a process that takes a year or 2 or 3. I mean, I guess we'll see. But at the least, it's certainly going to open up, I think, healthy dialogue about it, which is an okay place to start.
How much of a conversation do you think it creates, Gager, outside of us this week talking about it, and then it kind of goes away? Because that's how I kind of feel it'll end up happening, right? Like.
Well, unless you take that headband and put it under your neck and keep this conversation going, maybe that's what we have to do. There we go. There we go.
Yeah,
Dusty's okay. You're protected.
Yeah, man, I feel super safe right now. Yeah,
it's I mean, I never wore one of those.
You didn't wear the Patrick Waugh clear guard, like?
No, I hated it. But when I got over to Europe, some of the rinks were open, then I would wear a turtleneck because it was a little bit cooler, right? So, for me, it was always just comfort. But now with technology and the materials that they could use, I'm sure they could come up with something that just deters that from ever happening.
Almost like a Kevlar Under Armour thing that kind of just comes up to here a little bit or something.
The cousin Eddie Dickey, just I mean, you could market it like that.
Full blown.
Sure, you'd sell a ton.
How many guys wear wrist guards? Is that actually something that?
Lots of guys did. I remember guys using. They were the actual hockey ones, and they were just like slash protectors. They had a little plastic thing on the top just to give them a little bit of extra protection. I don't know, Cass, if I'm old, so maybe guys didn't wear them as much.
No, there's guys that wore them. There's guys that wore them, and undoubtedly there's still guys that do. Maybe not as many wear them, or not everybody does, but there's certainly guys that do wear them. Yeah, I actually got so I had thought about wearing one a little while, but that would have been pre-junior, where I actually got someone fell
with the wrist cast.
With the wrist and caught me. So I have a good nice little scar on the inside of my wrist, like right across this part here where I took a skate there. And that was a little bit scary first too, because you feel something, someone fell and their skate kicked up, and I had the puck and had my hands open, so my glove wasn't covering that part, and you don't know how deep it is at first, and you're just looking, and there was a lot of blood, and then, when we got to the trainers and they dabbed it out to see it was more superficial, like it was just more of a scrape than anything, but I mean, you can take them on the wrist too, and we've seen guys get cut, the Achilles with it. We've seen, I mean, reality is you have blades, and you do want to try to protect as much as you can. You're not going to protect everything. There are guys that will wear similar wrist guards. I believe some of them have the Kevlar outer, so they have like Kevlar around it, and then the plastic on the top part, so that they, if they get slashed, it's not going to hopefully won't break anything. But yeah, there's still, I think, a decent amount of guys that wear those.
It's amazing you don't even see more with how fast everything is. Basically, people got knives on their feet with big, huge sticks, and everyone seems to survive okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, part of it, I think, has been really fortunate in the National Hockey League. I mean, for the most part, people keep their skates on the bloody ice too. So, I mean, Evander Kane's a perfect example of that. Maroon's foot was that high off the ice, and then stepped down onto it. So, I don't know. We'll see how it continues to play out. I don't know. I feel like the NHL at some point ends up. It might take a major thing like this in the National Hockey League to do it as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens on that front. Just a bizarre, sad play for sure. All right, where are you guys at on Loki right now? I'm curious.
Is there a fourth one out,
buddy? The fourth episode of Loki. Cass, have you seen it?
Yep.
You didn't like it?
I didn't love it.
Really, man? I loved it.
I love it. I'm only at 3. I think it's great.
If you love the first 3, Gager, the fourth one's gonna blow your mind.
Oh God!
Cass, did the fourth one not blow your mind? Like,
no.
What?
No.
Wow.
I'm not gonna say why, because Gager hasn't watched it yet, so I'm not gonna say why. But no, it did not. I still the whole thing. I've just been like, it's okay. It's okay. I loved season 1 way more. I just feel Loki's a buddy cop. And you just kind of, it's lost the heart of what Loki is, or who he is as a character,
like a mischievous god of. Well, yeah.
Right. Where it's just kind of okay. It's a buddy cop, and I get you're trying to advance things for the MCU, and there's some stuff that happened that could help with that in this episode. So I get that, but I don't know. There's a few things. And again, I can't bring them up because I want Gager to watch it, but that disappointed me because I'm like, I felt like you could have built on this and it could have been something really awesome, and then you just kind of.
You don't think with the way you don't think with the way that it ended, they could kind of do whatever they want anyway?
Well, that's what I mean. Where I get where it's like, you can do whatever you want now in a lot of ways. And so I get that. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing with this to a certain extent. But yeah, I've just kind of, it's just been okay for me, which is sad because I really want to love it.
I love it. I thought the 4th episode was like the best episode of any Marvel show that we've seen so far. Like I just
Really?
yeah, I thought it was outstanding.
Whoa.
A couple moments I was just like, wow, didn't see that coming. So
Well, I mean, you had those, I didn't know which moment in particular you're talking about, where I was like, I get that.
With the guy,
I was like, I had that too. I was like, whoa, what just happened? But
man, you are hard to impress, eh, Cass? Holy smokes!
This right now, you know what? Maybe it's just a buildup of everything, where it's just I've been disappointed the last, since basically they wrapped up the whatever it was,
Endgame and
Endgame and all that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit cynical and jaded about it, but yeah, I just haven't loved it, guys.
Gager, what's been your favorite thing about the first 3 episodes that you've watched so far?
I like the whole fact that he who must not be named, kind of, they're all worried about him, and is he going to turn into the guy? And we got to do but we need him for this. And I'm on pins and needles waiting to see what's going to happen here, because the end of Quantumania. Have you guys watched?
Yeah, I watched Quantumania. Yep. I watched it a couple times on planes. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're all in the stadium there and going crazy, and you see the big 3. I'm it's one of those things where I kind of know what the ending is, but I love this journey that I'm on to find out what's going on. I think it's great.
Because I've been watching, I don't know too much about Kang and the whole background or any of the comics or anything like that. But like I've been trying to figure out, is Victor Timely guy the first one ever? Is that Cass? Is that what they're trying to portray here?
That crossed my mind too. Again, we can't get into it without spoiling stuff, but that crossed my mind, was like, okay, is this where he gets his powers?
Yeah, exactly.
Like from this, and then you kind of work that through.
That's what I thought at the moment. I was like, oh, this is where it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to see still how they handle that and what they do. But again, they could go in a multitude of directions after this episode. So I am interested. I'm interested to see, the final 2 and how it wraps up. But I've just been underwhelmed by it, and I'll stick to that. I stand by it.
Gager, you watch. Let me know when you watch season 4, and then text me, because I can't wait to see your reaction to episode 4. I think it'll be pretty good. And I think the final 2 episodes, like I was listening to Mark and Corey's podcast on the way in today, and you can hear the MCTV podcast here on Edmonton Sports Talk twice a week. And so I listened to their whole breakdown of it on the way in today. And they said that the writers have said episodes 5 and 6 are the best 2. And I was just like, damn, episode 4 was... But the reviews for episode 4 was that it was a bit of a dud. And maybe Cass thought it was a bit of a dud, but I thought it was absolutely incredible. So, I don't know, man. 5 and 6 might actually might light it up. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. All right, next time we'll be together, it will be on Thursday. We will be getting you set for the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars. How lame is it having 3 days off in between games this early in the season? Like, for us, I'm sure for the team it's great. They played Heritage Classic, had a Halloween party last night, and everything was good. But
I don't think it's good for the team at all, Dusty. After coming off a good performance, like you say this after these losses, that it sits with you too long. You want to get right back out there and try to get this thing rolling. The next portion of the schedule after Christmas, they must be playing every second day. It's going to be crazy.
Way too long in between games here at the start of the year, especially just with this start. Like, if they were had 6 wins right now, I don't think we'd be like, oh, this is too long in between games. But just based on how they've been playing, it's kind of sucks that it's like, you finally have a good game, maybe can build some positive momentum, and now you're off for a whole bunch of days. And the grand scheme of things, you're going to have chunks in the season where that is just part of the schedule. You're going to have a couple days in between, but it just couldn't come at a worse time, I feel like, for the Oilers.
We'll see how they come out against the Dallas Stars. That's not an easy team to bounce back against when you haven't played in a few days. So we'll keep tabs on that. Get you ready for that one on Thursday. For Joaquin Gage and Matt Cassian, I'm Dustin Nielsen. Apologies for the hiccup in the stream a little bit earlier on here, but that's going to do it for another day of coverage at Edmonton Sports Talk. Big one tomorrow, Edmonton Sports Talk Draft. Hey, TV movie coach draft. Any advice on who would you take first?
Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there. Eric's trying to get me to take Ted Lasso early. I think Ted Lasso goes in the first 3 rounds legitimately, but
he's topical.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a sleeper pick for you. I don't know if Commish would allow it, but you could go with Will Smith as Hitch.
Oh boy. Now you're really changing the game, Cass. We better wrap this up before Awanik comes in here and shuts us down again. I'll talk to you guys on Thursday. See you later, boys.
Later.